push him, baby. And yeah, we have our first decisive result. Almost like you and I, or I'll make it personal, that I applied a little bit of a commentator's jinx in that game. The moment I felt like I was being vocal about my my confidence in the way Vidit had played the position as black and the B file, I think we were right to say black was doing well, but this sort of underestimating of the bishop relocating to that new diagonal and this tactical shot of e5, I think fair to say we had our first blunder of the match there. I think Vidit just completely missed this idea.
Yep. I mean, that was the drawback of such the rook being on b2, so active, but also prone to these little tactics, right? Especially the knight.
Yep. Yeah, getting a lot of comments about Vidit's name. For those wondering, this is the correct spelling and pronunciation of Vidit Gujrathi's name, as he told us personally. And whether FIDE has it or not, you heard it here. What you're seeing is not a typo, and so maybe now you can tell your friends when they say Gujrathi, you're like, it's Gujrathi. So you're welcome. You learned something. All right, Vidit needs to strike back. He's got the white pieces.
These players are both Catalan addicts. They play both sides of it. Vidit played against Canada, against Berev, and there was some weird Catalan where he sacked a piece or something for 3 pawns, and these guys just live off this.
Wesley sticking the tongue out there. That was sorry, that got my attention.
I didn't see that. Do you have a? Oh,
someone's got to get. He just went Jordan on us.
I need to put the cams on.
Maybe he's already thinking about that birthday cake, Eric. Maybe Lotus has got a birthday cake prepared for him after the match. I would bet at 25, Wesley's more likely to have a birthday cake than a beer at his birthday. Am I fair to say that?
That's very possible. But I think maybe Vidit just tastes good. That piece.
There you go. Right? Yeah. He's licking his lips. Right.
When I think of the tongue sticking out, I think of Jabba the Hutt.
There you go. That's, by the way, I will now never think of anything else. Thank you for that visual.
Because he really
defined the sticks. Yeah, Gulamali rises in the Chess TV chat saying what he wishes the players had their mics on. He wants to hear them laughing, but that would be too many chefs in the kitchen in these shows. So stick around for the interviews, and you'll get your player voices. But thanks to everyone, whether you're joining us via chess.com or the Twitch chat. Appreciate all nearly 2,000 of you being here. All the bits and donations we've already had going to the prize fund, and the day has just begun.
Watch out for King F7, trapping the rook. So E4 can be played. You can play E4.
Only move, really.
It looked like it was. But now
Wesley plays
F4. Wesley's getting compensation now.
Yeah.
Again, renewing the threat of King F7. That's a neat move. That is nice. So if you take on F4, I can just take back with the bishop, hitting. If I take back with the bishop, then you have rook c6 in the end.
Rook c6, and white is barely holding on to everything. But you're pointing out really just how awkward this position is for white. The bishop is pinned to the rook. On e6 is sort of wandered too far. King f7 was not trapping the rook last move. E. Lindauer. By the way, shout out to Eric. How you doing, E. Lindauer? Because if King f7 on the last move, white could have taken on f5 and protected the rook. So no, it was not. But now Vidit is barely holding on.
Let's play bishop c5. Can I get any counterplay? With bishop c5, I want to play f3 check and rook f8 because the bishop on c1 is pinned and can't block that. So bishop c5 preparing. But maybe after bishop c5, you can just take on f4 with the g-pawn and say, like, okay, I'm just up a bunch of pawns. Something about bishop c5 tickles my fancy here. Bishop c5, g takes f4, and I need to move like rook e1, rook e2, but can I get it in time? Because I'm just trying to play against the pinned bishop on c1, the awkward rook on e6. I don't want to trade pieces. I want to use my 2 rooks and bishop while they have pretty much a free shot. And that's against the king, against white's king.
And in this line, everyone should note that that's probably why white can't play moves like bishop b2 to defend the rook on a1 and get out of the pin, because immediately moves like rook d2 are forks of the f2 and b2 bishop. So
let's bishop c5. Play it fast.
I like this.
Bit it in time trouble. Could just be very over optimistic though.
Yeah, bishop c5 seems like the most straightforward response. Not exactly sure what Wesley's calculating here.
He's looking at moves like f3, I'm envisioning, and then bishop c5, maybe looking at the move order, because yeah,
Right.
otherwise, what is he thinking about? Bishop f8? So
Yeah, there's threats of rook f8 in those lines, but I think white has king e2 just in time. So that's why f3 probably isn't as good as bishop c5. But Wesley leaning in now, very focused.
I'm actually, like, I said bishop c5, then I waited a minute. I was hoping to see like a comment from Hammer. I'm trying to find like I'm trying to steal his comments. I'm trying to find some strong players commenting in the chat, and then steal their moves.
Yeah, sometimes we got to do that.
Claim it for myself.
All right, well, I'm surprised by So's long think. This is, to my recollection, game 4. First time we've seen more than a minute off the clock on a single move by Wesley. Really wants to make sure he doesn't let Vidit off the hook here. A chance for a 2-game lead in the match is worth thinking about.
What is he? He sees something. What is in Wesley's head right now? Because bishop c5 is too easy. He's trying to calculate something. Is he...
Maybe he's worried. I mean, maybe bishop c5, g takes f4. I mean, we talked about the goals, but yeah, we're getting it now on the board.
He might... Maybe my variation will be played. Okay, this is trying to stop, for example, moves like king f3. b3 is also hanging. This makes some sense. I guess maybe this is what he was calculating. Bishop c5 was the easy move. It was the follow-up. How do I continue? Because now I'm down 2 pawns.
He keeps the king trapped. Note, everyone, we still have issues with the move bishop b2 because of this constant fork. So sort of, you've kind of given up on the idea of trapping the rook in this line, Eric, right? Because now c6 is safe, and so we're never worried about that if we're Vidit. But Wesley kind of playing for the long-term pressure here.
Well, I'm wondering what happens after like b4 here. Can white just start
sacrificing to get developed?
Yeah. Also, b6 will be hanging if I take,
like it.
and I might even lose a piece in some lines. But I've won 2 pawns, and if I win a 3rd pawn and my pawns start rolling down, then I'll give up the piece.
He brings the rook to c6. Not a bad idea at all. It frees up Eddie the Eagle here on e5, and
yeah, for example, bishop d4 would be a horrible move here because I can just play rook a2. Then my bishop on c1 is actually protected by this rook on c6.
Right, and suddenly it's white who's...
Oh, never mind. It's not a horrible move because Wesley played it. So let me figure that out.
It may still be. I think rook a2 actually looks really simple.
But maybe he didn't have... Maybe he
I think he just missed it. I think it was a blunder for blunder because you were right. And now there's threats of e6, and watch out for black getting mated here.
Yeah, no, this definitely isn't the compensation I was envisioning, but...
a5 was surprising, but again, e6 is a pretty obvious move that threatens mate on rook c8, and just, brings the pawn 2 steps closer to becoming a lady. She's got dreams.
There's this funny move, rook takes a5, rook c3. Rook c3, I'm hitting c1.
I think that Vidit just missed that.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, and you can see the head shanking, and much as I hate the blunder for Vidit, it's nice when we were right. This has been a very interesting turn of events here. I think it's fair to say that Wesley indeed missed rook a2, but e6 is I think this was a completely winning option on the analysis board.
So I'm going to play rook d6 now. Rook d6, rook c takes c1, and just rook a takes a6, and play that position. Okay. So you have 2 pawns for a piece. At least you have your rooks active, and your king is maybe going to sprint to like e4 or something. So
yeah, from a practical point of view, you might have either a draw or a mating net.
I have a lot of experience right now because I blundered a lot, so I had to deal with this. No, if you notice this, I've been at least very quick to identify.
Right.
You know what, he blundered.
Right.
Find a bailout, because that's all I've been doing for the last 2 weeks. So at least, this is very, very comfortable territory for me. Yeah, rook c takes c1.
There's even this idea of rook d5. Yeah, I was going to say rook d5 keeps everything.
Oof.
Does that almost promise white a draw if you play rook
d5, rook c4? Yeah, doesn't. I'm not sure if it's a forced one, but black should be very worried about that. Rook a to d5. I like it.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Rook c4, maybe then e6, or maybe we start checking, or we can play f5 first, pawn to f5, because you're still pinned. Completely
interesting.
pinned.
Rook g1 gets out of the tempo. But now maybe rook takes a6. Your initial
Yeah.
point that okay, no, he's going for pressure instead. But
Is he going to play f5 here? f5? Try to put him in a box?
feels like the only
Well,
move. He does it.
I think bishop e7, and there's no way to make progress. You're never playing e6 because my king goes to f6, and otherwise,
Yep.
yeah. No, I think Wesley will be fine coming out of this one. Rook c5 maybe.
If that holds up, then we are looking at a 2-game lead. A match that started out very equal has quickly had a lot of blunders played by Vidit in the last 2 games. He's shaking his head, frustrated. Definitely let this one slip, and if he had just a few moves back, I think White had a lot of winning chances.
So if king f3, what is he worried about? Rook g5, just picking up the f5 pawn. I mean,
yeah,
Vidit. Though pawns on f5 and e5, unfortunately,